Hello everyone and welcome back to another East Brunswick Human Relations Council Coffee and Conversation. My name is Vrithi and I am a member and a senior student representative of the EBHRC. The EBHRC is a council made up of East Brunswick residents and student representatives appointed by Mayor Brad Cohen, who come together once a month to brainstorm events and initiatives to promote diversity, inclusion, and tolerance of different ethnicities, religions, and backgrounds within the township. One of our major initiatives is our Coffee and Conversation series, which has been running since 2017 and has inspired our event. This event is very important as it highlights one of the biggest topics in our world today, artificial intelligence, and how it's transforming education, the workplace, and even fields like healthcare. AI is a field we are all beginning to interact with, whether that's in various workplaces, schools, or just in our everyday lives. This field prompts important questions and conversations about responsible use and innovation. And with that, I would like to introduce our first panelist, Dr. Boley. Dr. Boley is the Assistant Superintendent of Academics in East Brunswick, with broad experience in district administration, curriculum, and school leadership. She has served as a teacher, principal, and central office administrator, giving her a well-rounded perspective on how to support students and staff. Dr. Boley focuses on strategic planning, curriculum development, and building strong partnerships. I will now turn it over to Dr. Boley.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Joyce Boley. I'm the Assistant Superintendent of the East Brunswick Public Schools, and I'm here to share our initiative around AI in our school district this evening. Dr. Herb Paluzzo served last school year as our Supervisor of Educational Technology. He wanted to gather input from all stakeholders regarding AI use in our classrooms. He began working groups involving students, staff, and parents. The work of these AI working groups surrounded creating guardrails for student use of AI in the classroom. We know that our students want to use AI. We want our students to use AI. But with academic integrity concerns, we wanted to make sure that staff and students and parents were on the same page.
So, how do you see AI impacting the education system in the future over the next 5 to 10 years?
Well, that's a great question. I think the answer is we don't know. We're really not sure what AI is going to look like in the next 5 to 10 years, but I do think it will have an impact. I do think it will be a tool, as Dr. Paluzzo shared in the video, and I think that our students need to be empowered to use it, and our staff and parents need to understand the guardrails that we put in place for our students and staff so that everyone's consistent and on the same page.
And what are some challenges districts may encounter when having to create an AI plan for schools?
I think staying current with what's happening in the field, as well as continuing to include all voices in the conversation. I think it's important that the students, staff, and the families at home are engaged and active and participating in the process alongside of each other.
Well, thank you so much for your time, Dr. Boley.
Thank you. And I do encourage anyone listening again to visit the district website and look at the AI Center and get involved. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Stephen Shen, and I am a member and the sophomore student representative of the EBHRC. I would love to introduce our next speaker, which is Nick LaTronica. Mr. LaTronica is the Chief Information Officer, or CIO, at the East Brunswick Public Schools, and also has a master's degree in information technology at the Colorado Technical University.
Well, good evening. Thank you for having us come to speak to you tonight. And did you have specific questions or?
Yes. So my first question was, given that the AI Council was founded relatively recently, how often is the Council planning on updating its policies for the school district?
So actually, one of the things that I think Dr. Boley had, she was very instrumental in, was it started a few years ago. So it was probably close to 3 years ago that Dr. Paluzzo was named curriculum supervisor for EdTech, and a large chunk of that was AI. One of our big challenges was there was a lot of fear when AI first came out, right? Teachers, principals, everyone was scared. How are we going to tell if the kids are using this as a way to cheat? So, the policies are kind of being defined every day, and we don't actually have official policies in place yet. We're still developing those. And it's really, like the video showed, how the students are allowed to use AI. But Dr. Paluzzo works with the teachers and the community also to to kind of show them ways that AI can help them, building prompts, how you can use it to, create a resume, how you can use it to do research on a project, how you can use it to refine, a homework assignment. So I'm not sure if that really answered your question, but it's such a large scope that the policy needs to address, and we kind of want to make sure, like Dr. Boley said, that we hear everyone's voices and that we're taking, all important decisions into play. One of my big concerns is always how student data privacy is involved. We have state and federal laws that we have to abide by, and when a product is free, it usually means that you're the product. So we need to make sure that we're not sharing our student data with certain AI services. And that's why Dr. Paluzzo said we really can't have the students creating AI accounts with their EBNet email account. We want their parents to be involved. We want their parents to understand what the students are signing up for, to make sure they understand how student data might be, or how their kids' data might be shared with these services.
My second question is, when making these policies, what metrics or information is used to decide if a policy needs to be added, changed, or removed?
Once again, I think that metric is based 100% on feedback from the students, from the teachers, and always from the parents. We hear from parents quite often, and we listen to everybody's voice. The teachers are obviously instrumental because they're the first line with the students. They give us the most feedback, but we also have great students who are very willing to share their thoughts with us, and everything is ever changing, just like AI is. So that's one of the reasons why the policies are still under development, because we want to make sure that we really kind of capture everything that needs to be captured.
I understand. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Hamza. I'm the junior student representative for the East Brunswick Human Relations Council. And our next speaker is Andrew Zhang, who's an AI leader and entrepreneur with over 15 years of experience. As a co-founder and CEO of Azure Partners, he focuses on making AI practical for everyday businesses. He also teaches at Columbia University and leads cutting-edge AI research in finance.
Hi, my name is Andrew Zhang, and I'm a CEO and co-founder of Azure Partners. I started my company last year in 2024. To start off, I was a partner with a Y Combinator company called Epsilon, focused on the go-to-market for AI-powered solutions. I also was an advisor for multiple venture capitalists and AI startups. And last year, I also worked on a book called A Practical Guide to Olama. And this year, I started my AI mastery program at Columbia University. And in the summer, I also run an AI Elite Bootcamp focused on AI coding, RAG, and the AI agent. And I also started an enterprise consulting practice this summer, focused on financial and now also healthcare AI. I will give a practical learning roadmap for people to adopt learning AI in general, but apply also in healthcare. The first step, you learn AI by try to automate a task and boost your productivity, effectively using tools such like ChatGPT and the prompt. Even further, you can go for coding using some Python, such like programming language and the tools. So that's the entry level. The media level is about extracting insight, building assistant. It's kind of like you have multiple round question and answer, and use some advanced techniques such as RAG and the LangChain. The third step or advanced level techniques you learn is automating reasoning and deploying tools. To put it brief, it's called agent or workflow. There are a variety of tools and the technologies you're going to learn along the way. But if you follow 3 steps, you advance your skill sets, update your skill sets in a much efficient way through prompting, get your productivity, through automated tasks and boost your productivity. The second one is use multiple round sophisticated query to get answers to make an AI assistant. The third one is automate tasks and create an end-to-end workflow, and we call that automation.
Hi, I had 2 questions. As someone who both teaches at Columbia and is the CEO of a business which focuses on AI, do you think colleges are adapting quick enough to keep up with the rapid progression of AI?
Actually, no. Colleges are very much behind in adopting AI, especially since generative AI. I give that example that I have seen none college offer the course like I'm offering, learning Python with cursor. The reason being, it's just happening so fast. Even people in industry is hard to keep up. And also, as people mentioned, there's policies, guidelines need to be established. People, college and university can start adopting this new technology. Individual professors have been, some are moving faster than others, but overall, because the rigorous process in university, the adoption is taking much longer. So I would encourage people in college not just looking inside, but also looking outside at the same time to make sure that you can just maintain some, current stage learning. Yeah.
But do you think your programs, like the one that you're doing with these colleges, do you think that's a big step in keeping the progression happening at a more rapid pace?
That's my opinion, yes. Because it's easy for me to do it because I'm a small company, a startup. If I want to build it, I can start tonight. And I can get it done next week because of AI. When I say AI is a superpower, we are seeing people having 10x productivity. And that's why nowadays the company needs much less people. A company used to need, say, 20 people. Now I can get it done in by 3 people. Because of this, many organizations are hesitate in hiring because they are waiting for people inside picking up or hiring people to get stuff done without risking hiring more people because eventually they don't need that many.
Okay, thank you. So now that you've heard about AI in businesses, now you'll be able to see our perspective from us students about how we think AI is affecting us in our schools. So what do you guys think, or how would you guys see our high school is preparing you guys for how AI is going to shape our future?
I think overall that high school isn't preparing us enough, as although students are allowed to use AI to help them in assignments, teachers aren't really actively advocating for it. And there's also, I think, a lack of education about how to properly use it and how to balance using it in a way that replaces our thinking rather than enhancing it.
I agree. I think that there isn't enough education about AI, and I think it's a really useful tool when used correctly, but we're simply not being taught to do so enough.
Mm-hmm. And even from some of the teachers that I've had, especially ones in English, where it's more of a creative subject, AI is basically completely forbidden, although I think that AI could honestly be used to elevate how we learn in English and the quality of our writing or our understanding of a text.
Yeah, I think it's honestly kind of showing almost like how difficult it is for schools to adapt with the structure it is now. I feel like even though it is like moving little by little, because of the speed at which AI is developing, you're almost unable to keep up with it. It feels like there's a new AI every day, and we're so behind. It feels.
Do you think that AI is affecting the way that we do our schoolwork?
I think for sure. I think, at least for me, I know that there's assignments which I'm like seeing now where I almost like imagine how it would have been beforehand. Like, I imagine like I had to do like an assignment where we were doing research, and our teacher said it was okay to use AI to like help with our research as long as you made sure it was like certifiable and the sources were correct. So I was thinking I was able to find some really good sources to help with AI, some like deep in like archives, and I knew that if I ever had to do this like without it, it would have been so much more difficult. So it does help a lot for sure.
I agree. I think that AI is especially useful for research, but I think that we also have to be careful when we use it, because sometimes there is some misinformation. Certain AI systems aren't as accurate as others, so I think we have to be careful about that, but it's definitely been a useful tool for schoolwork when used in the right way.
On the other hand, though, I feel that a lot of the schoolwork today they're doing is being transitioned to handwritten work, ones instead of written ones, or the typed ones, which I think is a bit annoying. But on the other hand, I do understand that teachers do want us to think for ourselves. But from the student's perspective, it is a bit frustrating to handwrite essays over and over again when it can be more easily typed out.
Yeah, I think for example, like I'm in AP Lang, and I had to take all the essays that we did throughout the year were done on paper, which made it definitely a bit more difficult when trying to organize to study for the AP exam, trying to go over my work, because it was all, number one, it's on paper, so it's like just overall just more difficult to organize. And if it was if it was online, it would have been a lot more easy to like categorize and like spot mistakes and like compare and contrast. But that I think that's also just maybe it's just me, but with AI, like schoolwork is being changed like more and more by the day.
I think even aside from high school, the college experience is definitely going to be changed with AI as well. Since I know there's a bit of pushback that colleges aren't preparing students enough for the use of AI, just like high schools are. I think that colleges definitely also need to work on improving the education on AI and helping students use it properly.
I think that AI in college is also something to consider, because some people have to consider changing their path or what they want to study due to the rise of AI and new technologies that impact a lot of careers.
I think to me, like the two biggest almost ideas of AI, or like two almost paths of AI that I'm seeing the most, is number one, the fact that like especially in college, a lot of students are you're on your own for the first time, so a lot of students are starting to rely a lot more on AI. But at the same time, I don't know if you guys have seen, but with like all these new because of graduation season, I've been seeing so many graduation speeches, so many like guest speakers talking, and I've seen multiple occasions where they've actually thanked AI or said, "Hey, you students need to be the ones who will champion the next the next industrial revolution will be through AI." And I've always seen almost unequivocally just harsh pushback from the students, because these students, like we're like us students that are coming up, we're probably going to be the ones who are going to be replaced by AI unless we almost fight for it and we make sure that we can prove that we should be like prioritized over these AI. So it's very interesting, and it's also everything's still up in the air. There's not a lot of regulation on AI, and there's so many things that could happen for it.
I think adding on to what you said, I think especially when it comes to finding jobs or picking a major, there's really two ways students are dealing with it. So I think they're either focusing on fields like CS and trying to work towards AI, or they're trying to reevaluate their own interests and seeing what potential jobs aren't replaceable by AI. And I think it's causing a huge divide, since instead of pursuing what you want to do, it's now either how am I going to incorporate AI into this? Am I going to avoid it as a whole, or find some way to combine it with my previous interests?
I agree. I think that especially a lot of the jobs in tech are at risk, and a lot of people have to reevaluate what they want to study, if they want to go towards AI or if they want to choose a different path entirely, one that can't really be replaced by AI at the moment.
Yeah, I think to me, like I've seen, it really depends also on what job it is for sure. Because for example, I don't think there's a good path through letting AI dictate our arts. I feel like ours have always been talking about being able to explain what it actually means to be human, and I don't think an AI can replicate that. It's like a discussion versus like realism, like being able to like show what something actually what something is, what you see versus what it actually means to you. But I think when it comes to careers, like for example, I saw this thing online where it was a doctor being like, a patient was seeing a doctor use AI to like ask a question, and another doctor was commenting on it, and he was basically saying that although you may think that it's someone like relying on AI is not someone smart enough, the humility to be able to look for an answer when you don't already know it is something that people should also recognize. So I think there's because of the way that obviously there's always going to be people who are going to rely on AI like a crutch and not able to do the work. But honestly, it's a tool we can really use for so many jobs and so many like aspects of like the industry, like throughout like many industries. And I think that if we can utilize like human creativity with the processing capabilities of AI, we can push civilization like further than it's gone before, like by a milestone.
I agree, and as I think that AI is starting to become more and more advanced, and in the future it's really going to have a completely different impact on our life, especially if we're able to give it more abilities that are seemingly human-like. It can be really helpful in a lot of ways if it's used correctly.
Adding on to the point about it being more human, though, I know that especially when it comes to like art or music, there has been pushback from the public over the use of AI, especially since, for example, AI generated art is considered a lot more lazy than someone who actually spent all the time and effort to actually work on a piece of art. And I think this ties a lot into how AI is going to affect our lives in the future, and whether there's going to be special AI focused industries, or other industries that are just going to try to completely move away from AI and preserve what they've been doing right now or before AI.
Yeah, I think that when it comes to like seeing talent or seeing like anything from like the arts, for example, there's this saying that people have where it's not a saying, it's more like a roadmap, you can kind of call it, for a lot of the arts, where it's you start off not knowing how to do something, you become interested in something, you work hard to do something, and then finally you have like what you have your creation or your masterpiece. And I think the reason that why people appreciate arts is because they recognize how much work has gone into it. So for example, there's this artist named Tame Impala. He's an extremely capable and extremely talented musician, and one of his main allures is that initially people thought that he was a band, but it turns out he was just one person creating all the music by himself. And I think it goes to show that people really do appreciate seeing talent and seeing hard work, because it's never easy to do. It's never easy to create music, or even like to paint. Like it's always like this so difficult to try to what we like take for granted now because of how much we see it. So I think that although there will be certain ways that AI will get more human, I feel like you can't, like there's no way you can ever replace what it actually means to be human with these arts.
I agree with that. I think that in certain fields, AI is definitely going to be able to replace a lot of jobs, but in more creative fields and creative aspects, like you mentioned, painting and music and art, I really don't think AI can completely replace just the human touch to it, just because of what humans bring to the table that a machine simply can't.
I think adding on to what Hamza said, I definitely like the point you brought up about human struggles. I think especially in today's society, AI has made it so that everything is customized to a person, so they don't really have to struggle for anything. Like even looking on social media, for example, what a person sees and is completely determined by an algorithm, which has the main goal of keeping you on the app as much as possible. So I think it has given people in general this idea that whatever they want, they're allowed to have, and AI is only going to further this idea, which makes human struggle and the task of like struggling to learn something but then finally getting it also slowly fade away.
Yeah, I was actually just doing something when discussing in my AP World class, we were discussing the different talents and different key figures in history, and then we were researching this one guy. His name was Rumi. He was an extremely talented poet. The idea of they say that the main allure to his poetry, the main aspect of his poetry, was that he was able to articulate that which could not be articulated. And I think that those type of things where you're almost reading so far in between the lines that you don't know where it's coming from, but you just know it to be true, is such a talent, such a key feature, and humans have been doing it for so long. So to say that we could replace that with something that like AI, which hasn't experienced these things, it's always secondhand. AI is learning from humans, so it's always secondhand. I feel like you can't replace the firsthand experience.
And I think the depth of emotion humans are able to put into their work is also something that's irreplaceable. When we use AI, it can write, it can do everything, but it can't put the same emotion into something that people can.
Mm-hmm. I think adding on to another aspect of our lives, when we consider AI and the prominence that it currently has, I think we should also consider the next generation of people, the people that are going to be exposed to this throughout their entire lives. For example, we just started incorporating this in our lives, so we have a bit of a reference, like what life was before AI and what habits we developed from that. But the next generation is going to come into their lives with AI always. So I think it's also up to us and our generation to develop guidelines on how to properly use AI and ensure that the next generation is able to use AI for their benefit, not to just continuously train AI and have it replace them eventually.
I think I feel like there's a lot of comparisons you can kind of draw to the internet, at least with like the prior generation, where the prior generation initially grew up not having the internet, and then as it got older, it was able to it gained access to the internet, and it versus us where we've always had the internet in our lives, same way that we've spent so much of our time without AI, and now we're starting to see AI and starting to change our lives. So I think with the next generation, you're gonna see the same. They're for sure they're gonna be better at using AI than us. Like that's without a doubt. I'm kind of almost interested to see how far they're able to push it. Because that's just how humans have always gone. They've always adapted, gone better, gone quick, smarter, stronger. The whole idea that humans are continuously developing, and with AI, it's the same thing. AI is gonna get faster, better, more intelligent. So it's gonna be very interesting to seeing how there will be kids who will go to school who from the beginning they'll have seen AI in their classrooms, which I think is slightly frightening, but also very intriguing.
And recently I've also actually heard of certain schools in the country where students are being taught solely by AI. So the majority of their teachers are AI tutors who teach them a subject and adapt based on their current skill level, which I think is frightening in a way to see how far AI has already come and how far it's going to go in the future.
Yeah, that was in Chicago, right? I'm pretty sure.
I think so.
Yeah. To me, that's one of those jobs or in the industries where I think definitely should not be replaced by AI. Only because if you look at any celebrities, I saw this almost compilation where every celebrity named this one teacher. These people were all naming this one teacher, and if you ask any adult, they can always remember that one teacher who really believed in them, which I think is the whole point of teachers. The teachers are your teachers. Everyone has at least one teacher which they can call on, remember, saying, "Hey, I remember their class. I remember learning so much. I remember them. The fact that they believed in me, almost a complete stranger at one point, to now me thinking I can do better." I think you can't. That's one. I'm strongly against that, in my opinion. I feel like teaching is the most important job, I think, in the world, because you train the next generation. Without good teachers, you won't have your future collapses. So to replace that with AI, to me, I've learned so much from AI. AI has helped me a lot in school, especially if I'm ever too confused on something. But you can't. Teachers to me are more than just textbooks you can learn, because you have textbooks and then you have teachers. Teachers, that human almost connection that you have with teachers is what honestly makes you the person you are today.
Yeah, adding on to what you said, I think a lot of companies today are replacing a lot of human connection with AI in an attempt to either advertise themselves or just cut costs. But they also don't realize that by doing so, they're they're decreasing the human connection that their customers or students will have, and that will also have unwanted side effects that could potentially impact the next generation. Also, adding on to the point about using AI, I know that there's various, or I don't want to say jobs, but I know that there's various people who are trained called prompt engineers to specifically use AI in the best way and prompt them in the best possible way. And I thought that was just incredibly interesting, since AI adapts to the way that you ask your questions, and it also adapts to the way that you use it or the questions that you previously ask. So AI will become incredibly personalized to every student, and I am curious to see how that will be integrated in the current settings that AI are being used in.
Yeah, I think actually on one, I don't remember which AI it is, but I remember seeing this prompt online where it was basically saying that if you give AI this prompt, then when it regurgitates information to you, it won't just immediately agree, because it has a very strong tendency to agree with your ideas. So say it actually challenge your beliefs most of the time and try to debate with you on it. And when I started using it, when I put in that prompt and I started using it, I realized this is a much more helpful way. So it's like with the whole customizable thing is definitely going to be a huge like interesting thing to see, because I think already right now, especially with politics, there's these things called political echo chambers, where people are seeing what their side of the story the entire time, and because of that, it allows them to delve into more like extreme beliefs, because they're just hearing people who agree with them all the time. Mm-hmm. So I think with AI, you're almost going to see the next step in that, where it's no longer just politics that you're going to be seeing it like in that way, but you're also going to be seeing it in education and music. I think very soon, unless it's taken care of properly, AI will be the tool in which people become a lot less agreeable and people become a lot less sociable, which almost goes back to the point what you were saying, like with companies taking out the human element with their workers. I think the greatest accomplishment or the greatest strength of humans is our ability to work with each other. So to take that away would be a shame for humans. Mm-hmm.
And as we push the end, I would like to say thank you to Dr. Joyce Boley, LaTronica, and Andrew Zhang for their presentations and professional opinions. I would also like to say thank you to EBTV.